Now, what was the core reason that the health interests in the country were so concerned about saturated fat? Was there one study that came out, or did they all of a sudden become aware of a link between heart disease and saturated fat? What was sort of ground zero for the beginning of our re-education?
In the 1950s, the nation was really in a panic about the rising tide of heart disease. It had come out of nowhere to be the nation's number one killer. President Eisenhower himself had a heart attack in 1955, was out of the Oval Office. The entire nation's attention was riveted on this subject. And one scientist, a man named Ancel Keys, proposed that it was saturated fats that caused heart disease. That was based on a kind of simplistic idea, but convincing at the time, that saturated fat caused cholesterol, total cholesterol, which is all they could measure. Total cholesterol went up, and that would clog your arteries. That was the basic chain of causation that he proposed, none of which turned out to be true. But he was a very charismatic and powerful figure, and he was able to implant his idea into the American Heart Association and get on the nutrition committee, convince everybody that this is the idea they should adopt. Again, remember, they're facing tremendous pressure to recommend something to middle-aged men who are terrified of this rising epidemic. And he got the American Heart Association to recommend for the first time in 1961 that Americans cut back on saturated fat to fight heart disease.